everyone, it's Evangeline here at eTrailer. Today we have the Benton 4-bike platform rack, or the Shifts&Grins, in the 4-bike position. We're going to take a look at how it fits here on a 2024 Subaru Outback Wagon. This does have most of the features that you'll expect from a premium bike rack at a really accessible price point. Here on the Subaru, works really well. So to tilt this rack away, it's simply a matter of pushing the button at the end. So it's at a pretty easy height where I just use my leg to push that button. And then I use the handle to lower this down to the ground. Remember, use the handle on top because that bottom bracket with a rubber end is there because the bike rack will touch the ground in a tilt-away position. The good news is that even though the ground stopped it from fully tilting it away, we still have so much clearance. We can lift our hatch open and no worries about contacts with our pedals or our handlebars. We can grab our helmets or our bags. If you're the type of person that switches out your shoes in your back hatch, you can totally do so without having to take your bikes off. And then let's take a look at that clearance again. Coming back down. Yep, even with our larger pedals and handlebars, nothing to worry about. Now bringing this back up, you do have to be mindful that if you have 4 bikes loaded, this will come out to over here, and you may have to maneuver around your other bikes in order to get this back up, which is going to be pretty normal for any 4-bike platform rack you have. So lifting up, this is going to be on the heavier side because you do have to account for the weight of both the rack as well as the bikes loaded on there. This has a 55-pound weight capacity per bike, even if you carry 4 bikes. Now, double check your hitch weight capacity though, to make sure that the weight of the rack as well as the weight of the bikes don't overload everything. Now, the types of bikes this can carry is you do have a good amount of versatility, since this could be both a front wheel mounted rack, or if you have fenders, you can secure your bike by the frame. You also have 2 straps holding in the front and the rear wheels. To remove the bike, we'll start with the rear wheel strap. You press this lever, bring the strap out, and then pivot over so it's not caught up in the spokes. And then going over to the front wheel, press the lever again, lift the strap out, and then pivot this around. And from this point, we can now go over to that front wheel mount. For some people, if you do find that maneuvering around all 4 cradles feels like a lot of hassle or a lot of space, some people actually remove the last 2 bike cradles, and then they're only dealing with the front 2. So that is an option for you. Now I'm going to hold the bike with one hand as I press the button on this hook, put the hook out of the way, and now I can grab the bike and go. So just like that, we are now ready to hit the trails. If you needed to remove the add-on real quick, super simple process. You have this pin as well as this knob. So let's remove that pin and clip, and then we'll loosen this knob right here. And then it's simply a matter of holding onto the handle and then the rack, and then lifting it off that 2-bike base. If you needed to attach your 2-bike add-on, you just go in at an angle, bring it back out, and push in straight, and then put that pin and clip and knob right back in. So you can see how simple and easy it is. If you have this stored in your garage in 2 parts, it makes it a little bit easier to maneuver. And if you don't have much space in your garage for both bikes loaded up, this might be an easier way to get everything in place, get your bikes on, and you're not always having to carry around 4 bikes at the same time. So it's nice to be able to carry around 2 and not have extra space that you have to worry about. If you measure from the bumper on your Subaru Outback to the end of the bike rack by that button, this sits at 56.5 inches. So almost 5 feet, or almost as tall as I am. And that is going to be a lot of space that you are going to have to account for. But there's some extra things here just to give you a better chance when you're driving around town. or up hills and driveways because you have pretty good ground clearance here. If you measure from the end of the rack to the ground, this sits at 20 inches, and that's gonna be over at your bump stop. If you measure here from the cradle to the ground, that's 25 inches, or over 2 feet. So those speed bumps and those hills, those are gonna be fine because now you're not likely to have bikes hitting the ground, but also it's not too high up where it is a pain to get those heavier bikes onto the rack. So I think it's a pretty good middle of the road use of ground clearance and height clearance. But this also folds up to be more compact. So if you press that button at the end, but instead of letting the rack tilt away, you then push it up against the vehicle. It is on the hefty side, but doable. Let's take some more measurements. Now we're gonna measure from our bumper to the end of the rack. This sits at 20 inches of space. So big difference compared to the almost 5 feet it was sitting at earlier. This is how you're gonna have it when you're driving around town and you're not planning on taking your bikes out just yet. If you do want to store it inside of your garage, your shank actually folds up into the rack to make it a lot easier to store, and then you're not tripping over that extra part of the bike rack. This will fit into your 2-inch hitch receiver. Make sure you already have a hitch receiver on your Subaru. We installed this one today, so if you don't yet have one, you can find a custom fit one for your vehicle available here on our site. We cannot open up the hatch door with this bike rack in this position, but what we found is when we have it in the 2-bike configuration, we had plenty of space to open that back up. So if you have slightly heavier mountain bikes or road bikes, or if you need and prefer that versatility of front wheel mounting or frame mounting your bikes, the Benton Bike Rack is going to be a great option for you. So today what we saw is the Shifts&Grins 4-bike platform rack, and you saw it on the 2024 Subaru Outback Wagon.